a lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has time to put its pants on.
We're on your side tonight with a new message and a promise from the sole Democratic gubernatorial candidate in South Carolina. Low Country attorney Mullins McLeod now says the situation regarding his arrest this year is not the full truth. McLeod recently announced his campaign for governor and is already facing calls to drop out. McLeod is known for helping negotiate an $88 million settlement surrounding the Mother Emanuel AME church shooting. Now, you'll remember a white supremacist opened fire during a Bible study in 2015, killing 9 black parishioners. Their family sued the Department of Justice, claiming it failed to do a proper background check on the gunman, allowing him to get access to firearms. But just last week, he gained attention for a different reason. Charleston police released footage of his arrest earlier this year after public records request.
You do stupid array. You know what you do? I want to kick his teeth in, all right, and I'm going to kick him in. The world can decide what happens next to my friend Alan Wilson.
Police say they encountered McLeod May 2nd standing outside in his underwear and screaming in a neighborhood. Video from the back of a police cruiser shows him launching into an hour-long tirade. Part of it included comments about Republican gubernatorial candidate and current Attorney General Alan Wilson. Police arrested McLeod in May, and he was charged with disorderly conduct. Jail records show his charges are still pending as of last week. After the video was released, the South Carolina Democratic Party called on McLeod to drop out of the race. The party wrote in part, after reviewing the dashcam footage, quote, "It is clear that Mr. McLeod is navigating profound challenges and should focus on his mental and emotional well-being instead of a campaign for governor." Well, the next day, the Low Country attorney released a video on Facebook calling the situation a political storm. He said he would not drop out and would instead focus on the people of South Carolina. Now, fast forward to this week when McLeod released a new video on Facebook with several new messages, one of which accuses others of lying about the situation.
And one thing I want you to consider is that politicians use lies, and they use lies to manipulate us into believing certain things so that we will do one thing: vote for them. The media also, unfortunately, uses misinformation frequently. Now, they use misinformation frequently for their own self-serving reasons.
The Democratic candidate doesn't give specific details, but McLeod says lies travel fast, calling last week an example of that. McLeod doesn't specify what or if any part of the story is a lie. Details of his arrest come from police reports, the body cam footage, and jail logs. However, McLeod asked voters to give him grace.
There'll be a time when I'm able to tell my side of the story. And in the interim, just please remember that no matter how thin you try to pour a pancake, there are always 2 sides. And there are 2 sides to this pancake. And I cannot wait to share it with you.
No other Democrat has entered the race. However, the Republican field is crowded. There are 5 members of the GOP who have thrown their hat in the ring. Representative Nancy Mace, Representative Ralph Norman, whose district is in York County, State Senator Josh Kimbrell, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette, and Attorney General Alan Wilson. As of now, President Trump has not publicly shared his endorsement.